Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon. It is the Earthmaster back here on this beautiful blue planet we live on. It is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. It's about 12:22 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity, looks like we got some amping up here of some earthquake activity there in Hawaii. 1.7, one of the latest earthquakes. We'll check that out here in a minute. I want to cover first the Geminid Meteor Shower that's peaking tonight. 9 p.m. local time. Look here, folks. If you got clear skies around the area of east to northeast, that's where you want to look for the Geminid Meteor Shower. Expected about 100 meteors per hour. Could see some larger fireballs in there as well. Those fireballs, of course, kind of rare, but they do happen before, during, and after the peak of the Geminid Meteor Shower. Again, which is expected tonight. Just got to look up there towards the Orion constellation, Gemini, look in that general direction. That's why we call those the Geminid meteor showers, because it's coming from basically that constellation area, although not the source of the actual meteors. That is from, a different, actually from an asteroid, they believe. The spaceweather.com site here has an interesting article on that as far as the source goes. But this asteroid right here is an interesting one, because they don't believe that it actually came from this asteroid. They believe something may have ran into it and therefore created the debris that was left behind. Phothen, I believe that is Phothen. Is an asteroid, but it's rather rocky, and these rocky asteroids do not normally leave dust behind, like trails like a comet would. So, as they state here, asteroids are not supposed to make meteor showers. Unlike comets, they don't have tails, and they don't spew meteoroids. So, 3,200 fathom, they believe, was the source, but now they're questioning it again. But they still think it's the main suspect, though. They believe that maybe something ran into it millennia ago and created this dust that we're seeing right now. These little particles, they're very small, but they're hitting the atmosphere way up there above our heads at an extremely high rate of speed. But they believe this dust particle is around 1,000 to 10,000 years old, thinking that maybe something hit this asteroid. Either way, look up into the sky tonight. It's supposed to be about 100 or so per hour from dark skies. I did pull up the windy map here. This is around 9 p.m. my time, local time here across the west coast. Of course, you can see it pretty much at any time in the night. You got to be looking towards the northeast. Cloud cover out here in the west coast may be an issue. Those are some high clouds obscuring the skies in the Pacific Northwest as well. We got a pretty large area of cloud cover here across Colorado, New Mexico, and portions of the southern plains. Best area tonight, I think, out in the desert, maybe of Texas up into the northern tier states, Montana, North Dakota, and a good portion out here across the Midwest as well. Does have some clear sky potential. Down south here, looks like they may be having a little bit of high cloud obscurity as well. The best thing to do is just get outside, see if you have clear skies or not, around 9 o'clock or so. It technically can happen anytime after dark, but around 9 p.m. local time should be the peak observing time for about 100 meteors per hour is what they're stating. Last time I went out there and looked at this, didn't really see too much. But hey, you're not going to see any unless you at least get out there and take a peek towards the northeastern sky, the constellation Gemini. If you have one of those stellarium apps, they're really cool and useful to use to find the constellation if you can't find it manually. And they have them. They have that stellarium app for, of course, iPhone, Android, whatever device you're using. So go check it out. I'm going to at least go out there and see if I can see through these higher clouds a little bit later on this evening. All right, earthquake activity. Let's go ahead and jump into what's going on out here in Hawaii. Definitely seen a pretty good swarm of activity bumping up here once again south of the Kilauea volcano. getting that little new area over here around the eastern rift zone showing some movement as well. Let's go ahead and check out the latest information statement here from the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. See what they're stating. The volcano is currently not erupting. Over the past day, there has been moderate seismicity in the summit region, upper east rift zone, and the southwest rift zone. The seismicity in the summit region has seen a slight increase over the past day after several days of lower earthquake rates. Activity has been focused in two clusters just south and southeast of the summit region. Most of these earthquakes have had magnitudes below 2.0, but a handful of events have been in the 2 to 3 range. So let's go over and check out the tilt meters here and see what's going on across this volcano. They're stating that, the eruption could happen at any time, but they've been saying that for quite a while. But I think the inflation there will give us a good indicator of what's going on if we're still looking at some higher levels. This is the past 30 days. We are still at our highest level in 5 years. Leveling out here slightly, but again, even with this leveling going on, we're still at maximum peak inflation since the 2018 eruption. Not the last eruption, but since the 2018 eruption, which was took place a little bit more, of course, obviously outside of the summit region where we've seen most of the last couple eruptions. The most recent eruptions has been confined here to this lava lake area, filling it up, making it nice and full. But the other eruptions that we've seen have been out and about away from the volcano back in 2018. So I'm still leaning more towards some fissures activating out here across this area where we're seeing this newer movement take place. Continue to watch that and I'll report back on any changes that take place out here in the Kilauea volcano area. Look at the lava lake region, or at least a portion of it. Show some clouds out on the horizon. Some volcanic gases still seeping through cracks in the ground. They're at the lava lake area of Kilauea summit region. So we'll continue to watch that. Either way, it looks like things may be getting slightly elevated here. I don't know if we're coming to our maximum level to where, the ground will not hold up anymore. Its potential as far as, seeing new fissures open up. It's definitely interesting here. Let me zoom in here to this area. I think hopefully one of these cameras are working. Get rid of that. I just want to look at a camera. This one's pretty recent, December 13th. That looks like it is 10:46. Almost an hour old, I'm guessing. But either way, it is not erupting, and we'll continue to watch that, see if anything develops here soon. I think it's going to be soon here. We'll continue to watch this earthquake activity. All right, let's move on outside of the Big Island up to a volcano up north here in Iceland. Still seeing some activity bouncing back and forth north of Iceland and south of Iceland here with the 5.3 earlier this morning, actually about an hour ago, in the Norwegian Sea area. That's way north of Iceland, but it is out there along the same plate boundary. And let's go ahead and see what the latest information statement here says about the volcano possibility there in Iceland. This is put out today after about a 6-day break. These guys put out no updates here for the last 6 days, but they're saying that the Svartsengi area continues to inflate. The rate of inflation has decreased somewhat since Friday, but it is still greater than it was prior to the formation of the dike, the magma intrusion that traveled under the Grindavik area back on November 10th. While magma continues to accumulate around Svartsengi, further dikes or magma intrusion or an eruption that remain possible. If another dike forms, it is considered to be the likeliest that it would follow the same path as the November 10th dike, with the potential eruption there north of Grindavik in the direction of Hagafell and the Slingerfell area. And that's going to be this little line area right here north of Grindavik. This is where most of the earthquake activity has been confined, and that's where they believe that eruption will break through if and when it does. We still have a little bit of inflation, but the earthquake activity has been relatively minor here the past few days, I would say. That's why there's been really no update. This is the last 12 hours of earthquake activity. Shows about 35, but that's in total here across Iceland. More specifically around where this magma intrusion has taken place. A little bit less, but as you can see, they're still seeing some earthquake activity there north of the Grindavik area, Hagafell, Slingerfell area. I believe this is where the potential fissure could open up out here in this region. But just kind of continuing to watch it, seeing how this plays out. Definitely an interesting little event going on, but for now, it's just kind of neutral. Nothing major taking place yet. All right, what else we got for earthquake activity across the globe? Well, let's check out California, see what's going on here. Got typical movement up here in the Clear Lake volcanic field. This is associated with the Calpine hydrothermal operations that go on there south of Clear Lake. Around the Bay Area, got one earthquake here in the 2.5 range near Santa Rosa. I'm sure that was felt in the area. 2.5, you can probably feel that. The rest of the Bay Area, fairly quiet. A small amount of earthquake activity here across the Long Valley supervolcano within the caldera. But those are generally very small. And it's not a huge swarm, just basically a couple small earthquakes so far in the last 24 hours. Southern California, handful of earthquakes out here, but nothing major going on. And up into the Intermountain West regions and Wyoming, where Yellowstone National Park, the supervolcano sits, looks pretty quiet. Let's double check that though for verification. Looks like really not seeing anything major going on there. Is this the 13th? Yep. Maybe a handful of smaller quakes, but it doesn't look like anything stirring up there today. A couple smaller spikes over here around the eastern side of the park as well. Looks like mainly around Joseph's Coat, Pelican Cove area. Those couple spikes I just showed you there on the map. Texas has been getting hammered with earthquake activity here recently, and still confined out here to the oil fields. Quite a bit going on out there. The rest of Texas, pretty quiet. Little gnat in here. Oklahoma, got some earthquake activity out there as well. Could be around some oil fields. Looks like the North Dibble oil field out here getting hit a little bit with earthquake activity. And one little small earthquake in the New Madrid seismic zone. That earthquake coming in yesterday, though. South Carolina seen one little tiny earthquake as well. Aside from that, let's see, movement down in the Southeast Pacific rise from yesterday. A lot of yesterday stuff going on here. The largest magnitude so far today would be the 5.3 up here in the Arctic Circle area around the Greenland Sea. Again, north of Iceland. Continue to watch this area. You know, they have seen a little bit of movement here over the past couple days, mainly south of Iceland. Of course, you know, what goes on here could ultimately affect the further influx of magma there in the Iceland area. We'll continue to watch that, though, see if anything gets elevated. All right, let's see. Let's look at the earthquake 3D globe, see what we got here. Some smaller movement down in New Zealand once again. Clustering going on once again today. Got a 4.0 in the area, the Indonesia Islands area, around the Banda Sea. Looks like it wants to take a little migration turn up here across the Java Trench. We'll continue to watch that today. Kuril Kamchatka and the Japan Trench got one little 3.7 off the coast of Japan. South America area seeing quite a bit of 2s out there. And some deeper movement here right in the center section of the Peru-Chile Trench. Mediterranean region there looks a little quiet. Not completely, but not so active as what we had seen maybe in a couple weeks past. 3.7 and a couple other smaller quakes out here in this vicinity. But up here, goodness, USGS only showing one earthquake, 5.3, but on the earthquake 3D globe, it looks like there's a lot more taking place. So between down south and up north here, definitely want to keep Iceland on the menu in terms of knowing what's going on, because that could definitely increase some activity there across that region there of Iceland. Divergent boundaries. All right, 4.0 there in the Band of Sea area. Let's go check out space weather, see if we got anything interesting going on here. Looks like we've seen a little bit of sea flaring going on right here, almost into the M flare category. It looks like a long duration event as well. Nothing here from the solar ham site as far as that little sea flare. I'm pretty certain though that it came from this area right here. About the only source of potential, I would say, in terms of seeing some flaring. We'll look at this area here. Now I know I have faster internet than that. I'm not for sure why that does that, but we'll give it time to catch up there. There we go. Okay, so watch this area down here. It does show some growth over the last couple days, and I'm sure it's a source of our latest sea flare. Here's one, another one, a couple more in there as well. So it looks like definitely that may be the source of the sea flare activity that's taken place here earlier this morning. Uncertain though on if it's got an Earth-directed component. Possible. Doesn't look like we're seeing anything major going on in the forecast though. A little bit of a slight elevated activity, and I believe that was from the past coronal holes that have been facing us. Just a little bit of unsettled conditions there across the higher latitudes. Not really expecting any major solar storms though, in terms of seeing the auroras at some low levels once again. So we'll continue to watch that though. 80% chance for a C flare, M flare at 30, X flare around 5% chance, and again I think 3514 is about the only decent area out here on the sun that harbors some potential for some stronger flaring. This region up, not 3513, that's going to be 3514. 3513 has been the one that's a little of a disappointment. A couple newer sunspots out here on the eastern limb. They don't look all that fancy, at least from here. We'll get a better perspective of those in the coming days, though. But big picture, get out there tonight, folks, and look at the Geminid Meteor Shower. I'm going to at least attempt it, see if I can't do some long exposure photography here. There's no moon tonight, so that's the other benefit here of seeing some of these shooting stars, these meteors, and the potential, of course, of seeing maybe a little bit bigger fireball. Those are always cool to see as well. But looking east, look up towards Gemini constellation there. About 9 o'clock local time. Should be nice and dark out there with no moon. Let's go ahead and check out the weather forecast. Been a lot of chat about that right now. For the West Coast, we're still looking at the potential for an amplified Pacific jet out here. Now this is kind of crazy because it does shoot off quite a few storms in our direction. Notice that linear fashion from Asia eastward to the United States there. That is going to definitely amplify the storm track in favor of the West Coast. Check out some of these precipitation amounts here over the next couple runs. We can watch these storms come in. Southern California is going to get about the third one. Notice right in here, kind of misses Northern California, but hits Southern California decent. Looks like 4 to 5 inches of rainfall expected down there as well after all is said and done. But we do have more storms behind that. I'm not liking this little rain shadow right here because that's where I live. And I Oh, I have some. I don't like those rain shadows. It's not cool. If anyone lives in between mountains, mountain ranges, they know what a rain shadow is, and it's not cool at all. I'm hoping that doesn't ring true. Either way, it looks like still maybe up around 2 inches of rainfall here for outside the Chico area. But the pattern looks to be wet. Also, as these low pressures move in, it's going to potentially bring some much needed rain over here across Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, up into South Dakota as well. Some of these areas definitely need some rainfall. So that is good news. And these are going to be generally warmer storms that are coming in here to California. We're not really expecting any low snowfall. Let's run this a little bit. Of course, up in the Sierra Nevada, high peaks, probably above 7,000 feet. Yeah, they're going to get some snowfall and potentially quite a bit. Up there in the Mammoth Mountain region, they'll probably get quite a bit from these storms coming in. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how this plays out. I'm getting excited. The forecast is holding steady. Far as the windy map goes, this is another little... what in the world is this? That looks a little weird. You guys see that? Is that legit? Is there some type of, maybe a cold front out there? I don't know. I haven't really... Let me look at the satellite map out. Yeah, cold front. There we go. It helps to see the cloud cover because it just looked a little odd. Either way, let me go back here to the rain accumulation. That would help too. You can see the rain accumulation along that front. Next 10 days, this is just the ECMWF model, covering some of the storms. Not all of it, because we are expecting more around Christmas time and later. But yeah, just outside of Chico, maybe about 2 inches of rain or so. More along the coast range. Look at Southern California getting some decent precipitation amounts as well. GFS model showing a little bit more aggressive, of course, up in the Sierra Nevada. That will be some snow, but below the snow line, definitely get quite a bit of rainfall, I'm sure. And I think it's definitely beneficial to see this type of setup here for California. We'll continue to watch that. I think this is all going to be aiming right at the West Coast, and we need it. I'm ready. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. There's another earthquake up there. Another 5.5. So we'll keep an eye on Iceland. Activity bouncing back and forth here between this area of interest could definitely kick things up here. Continue to watch that. Seismograph stations for now look pretty quiet. One little earthquake there on Petrolia. The station there in Chile is offline, but we'll see if it can't come back. Hopefully it resets. All right, folks, we'll catch you guys back here tonight. If you got any cool shooting star pictures that you catch tonight, send them to the channel here, earthmastermail@gmail.com, and we'll try and get them on the show later tonight. Hopefully I can get a few shots myself. Have a good day. We'll see you guys back here later tonight. Take care, folks.